This is the true story of how my mum and her siblings had a run-in with a murderer in South Carolina. It started one day when she and the other neighborhood kids gathered together to hang out. They had already played a few games around their yards when the older kids of the group suggested they ride their bikes around town. My mum and her siblings were the younger ones of the group who agreed to the plan. Because they were the younger ones, they ended up riding toward the back of the pack as they headed out. Now, this was back during a time during the 70s when stranger danger was not engraved into kids' heads like it is today. Sure, there were particular rules and curfews to follow and such, but kids back then were pretty much allowed to go wherever they wanted to. Especially if they were going in a group like my mum was doing that day. The group was riding near a park where a famous historical house known as the Guinyard mansion resided. While they were riding by, the group was stopped by an older man who explained he was the current caretaker of the property. The man began chatting with them for a bit and ended up offering for them to come inside out of the heat. It was normal growing up in the hospitable South for people to invite others into their homes to get refreshments to escape the heat. Because of this, the older kids decided to go inside and cool down after a long bike ride. My mum and siblings decided to follow suit as well. Since they were so young, they just figured they had to follow the older kids of the group. The man offered them snacks and a tour of the house as soon as they stepped inside. Thankfully, I believe most of the kids turned down the snacks, but after a while of touring the house, the man would persist on drinks and snacks. He kept offering drinks, chips, and other things to eat, but the kids ended up always declining. While walking around the house, my mum picked up on a disgusting odor. She asked my aunt and uncle if they smelled it too, and they answered yes. It seemed that the whole group began to pick up on the putrid odor, but no one decided to bring it up to the man who was still giving them a tour of the house. It was when the group got to the second level near some closed rooms that the smell became a lot stronger and the man began acting strangely. He kept warning the kids not to open the hall closet since there was dangerous equipment and tools inside. The whole time they were up there, the man kept a close eye on the group and kept reminding them not to open the closet. After the upstairs tour, the older kids of the group decided it was time to leave. So they all went outside to their bikes and waved goodbye to the man. They all rode home and said their goodbyes for the day. When my mum was home, she kept wondering why the house smelled so bad, particularly near that closet, and why the man had acted so strangely about it. She soon found out a few days later the truth behind the smell, what was in that closet, and who that man really was. Her father read to them the local newspaper where it reported a man there who was posing as the caretaker of the house was a murderer in hiding. The smell they had all sensed came from a few dead bodies stuffed into the same closet the man acted strangely about when they were in the house. My mum and siblings were in shock and were horrified by the news. They could not believe that they had entered a house with dead bodies and a murderer. It chilled them to the bone to think that the man could have easily made their friend group his next set of victims. Who knows, but maybe the reason why he kept offering snacks was that they could have been drugged or poisoned. My mum does not remember if any of them had ever come clean, but she speculates that if they did tell, they could have been grounded for a while. I only know that whenever my mum tells me this story, I get goosebumps knowing that she, my aunt, and my uncle could have been killed, and I would never have been born.